Hello, welcome to another week. So we're going to start today by doing some fractions and then we're going to continue with our work on equations. So remember to start with, when we've been looking at subtracting fractions, adding and subtracting, where there's mixed numbers, I would like you to leave the whole numbers as they are. We'll make the fractions equivalent and then we'll work out our answer. Okay, so what we need to be looking at is the fractions that have got a common denominator that are equivalent to 1/6 and 3/4. So we need to get our lowest common multiple of 6 and 4. So the smallest number that's in the 6 times table and in the 4 times table is 12. So it's 12 on the bottom of both fractions. Then we say, what have we multiplied 6 by to get 12? So we've multiplied it by 2. So you do the same to the top as well. Then you say, what have you done to 4 to get 12? You've multiplied by 3. So you've got to do the same to the 3. Then you can do your subtraction because we've got common denominators now. So deal with the whole numbers first. 5 take away 2 is 3. And then you've got 2 twelfths. Take away 9 twelfths. So that gives you minus 7 twelfths. Okay, so don't forget that there are 12 twelfths in a whole one. So if we've got 3 whole ones and we take away 7 twelfths, we're still going to be left with 2 whole ones. And then we've got 5 twelfths left over. Okay, so 3 take away 7 twelfths is 2 and 5 twelfths. And then the second one, when you're multiplying and dividing with mixed numbers, you've got to change them to improper fractions first before you start. So remember to get the number on the top. You do 6 times 4, add 1. So that's 25, and you keep the number on the bottom the same. 3 times 8 is 24, add 1, again is 25. And you keep the number on the bottom the same. So then, remember when you're dividing by a fraction, you turn it upside down and multiply it. So I've just taken this fraction here, turned it upside down and changed the divide to a multiply. Then before we start multiplying, we can cancel or simplify. And remember, when you're multiplying fractions together, you can cancel anything on the top with anything on the bottom. So we can see straight away we've got a 25 on the top and the bottom. And then 3 and 6 are both in the 3 times table. So that's 1 3 and that's 2 3s. So everything's simplified as far as it can be now. So we've got 1 times 1 is 1 on the top, 2 times 1 is 2 on the bottom. So our answer is a half. Okay, so let's see where we're up to with our solving equations. So we started off by looking at basic balancing, where you have to do the same to both sides. Then we looked at solving one-step equations. Then we looked at solving two-step equations. And at this point, your variables or your letters or your unknowns can be on either side of the equation. Okay? When we looked at solving equations with brackets on Friday, it doesn't matter which side the letters are on, we can still deal with that. So what we need to be able to deal with now is, what if the letters are on both sides? So that's going to be today's job. So we're just going to work through some examples of how to use the skills that we've already learnt to solve equations with letters on both sides. So let's just get started. I'm hoping that I've left enough space in between. I'll have to write small maybe. Okay, so in our first one, we can see 8m plus 5 equals 3m plus 12. So remember, these are baskets on both sides of a balancing scale, and what's in them weighs the same. Okay, so the difference between this kind of equation and one that we've solved before is that we've now got letters on both sides. So that should be the first thing that we fix, because remember, each time we write down a new equation, that's the equation that we're going to solve. So if we fix the fact that there are letters on both sides to start with, then we will have an equation with letters only on one side. All right, so what we need to think about is we're either going to move the am or we're going to move the 3m. So think about these baskets. if we took 8m out of this basket, here, we'd have to take 8m out of that basket there. But there's only 3m in that basket. So that's going to cause a complication because that'll give us a negative amount of m in the basket. Whereas, if we took the 3m out of that basket, here, we'd have to take 3m out of this basket, which would be fine because I'd still have 5m there. So that's what we're going to do to both sides to start with, is take away 3m. And what that leaves us with, so we've got 8m take away 3m, so that's 5m. We've still got plus 5, and on the right hand side, we've only got 12 in that basket now. So if we forget what's gone before, that now is a very straightforward equation for us to solve like we've been doing last week. Okay, so we know that we need to take away 5 from both sides to leave us with 5m equals 7. And then we would divide by 5 to give us m equals 7 over 5, because 5 doesn't go into 7. Or you could say that's 1 2/5. Or this one does have an exact decimal, it's 1.4. So any of those three answers would get full marks. But remember, each time you write down a new equation, that's the one that you're solving, and it doesn't matter what went before that. So each step, you should be making things simpler and reducing it to something that you know how to deal with. Okay, so looking at the next one, we can see we've got 4t on this side, 7t on this side, and we've got numbers as well. So what we want to end up with is our letters positive, because if our letters aren't positive, then we have to do the switcheroo where we add them to both sides. So that's adding in an extra step. So we can cut that out if we just be careful in the first place. And a funny little phrase that some of you will have heard me say before is bring baby to mummy. Oops. Now, I know that's a silly thing to say, but it helps you decide which way round to move. Okay, so whichever of your letter terms are lower down the number line, the baby, that's the one that you move. You take that one to the bigger one. Okay, so what we're going to do in this case is we're going to take away 4t from both sides to start with. So be very careful. On the left-hand side, if you remove 4t, you're still left with negative 3. And 7t take away 4t is 3t, and you've still got a minus 9. So be very careful to make sure that the correct signs remain once you've done this. So now we've got a new equation. We don't need to worry about what went before it. We can add 9 to both sides. Negative 3 add 9 is 6. And then on the right hand side we've just got 3t because we've dealt with the 9. Then we just need to divide by 3 to get 2 equals t, or as we should put it, t equals 2. Okay, next one. Remember, if you're not sure about anything or if I've gone a little bit too quickly, watch that bit again. Let me know if you need more explanation. Just give me a message and I'll sort that out for you. Okay, so next one, we've got 6c plus 2 equals 10c minus 3. So again, we've got letters on both sides. So first thing we're going to fix is the fact that we've got letters on both sides. Make it letters on one side only because we know how to deal with that. So we're going to bring baby to mummy. So the 6c are further down the number line than the 10c. So 6c is the baby. So we're going to bring baby to mummy by taking away 6c from both sides. So on the left-hand side, once the 6c's gone, you've still got 2. On the right-hand side, you've got 10c take away 6c is 4c. And then you've still got a minus 3. So this is our new equation now. 2 equals 4c minus 3. We know how to deal with this. We're going to add 3 to both sides. So that's give us 5 equals 4c. And then divide by 4, because we've got 4 times c there. So 5 over 4 equals c. So C equals, this is another one where we can write it in different ways. 5/4 is absolutely fine. 1¼ is absolutely fine. And 1.25 is absolutely fine. Okay, because 1.25 is the exact decimal. Okay, next one. So here we've got, again, letters on both sides. Take note though, these letters are negative. Okay, these are positive. So if we're removing these, if these are the ones that are moving, you add 2f to both sides. If these are the ones that are moving, you take away 3f from both sides. So remember, bring baby to mummy, whichever one's further down the number line, that's the one that you take to the other one. So -2 is further down the number line than +3. So it's the -2f that we're going to sort out by adding 2f to both sides. So once we get rid of the 2f from the left-hand side, we've only got 5 left. Remember, that is not a -5. That's a +5. It was a -2f. 3f add 2f gives us 5f, and then plus 10. So then this is our new equation. So to solve that, we know we take away 10 from both sides. 5 take away 10 is -5, equals 5f, because the 10 has disappeared from the right-hand side now. So the f is being multiplied by 5, so we need to divide both sides by 5. -5 divided by 5 is, remember, 5 divided by 5 is 1. And when you're multiplying and dividing, if the signs don't match, the answer's negative. So we've got a negative here, a positive here, so that must be negative. So f equals -1. Okay, we'll keep going. So again, we've got letters on both sides. We've got a +8u and a -3u. So we're going to bring baby to mummy. That means we're going to move the letter that is further down the number line. So that would be the -3u. So that's what we're going to get rid of or fix. So we're going to add 3u to both sides before we do anything else. Okay, so we've got 22 plus 11u on the left-hand side. The u's disappear from the right-hand side, leaving us with 11. So now we're trying to get u by itself. So we're going to subtract 22. Oops, that wasn't a subtract really, was it? Subtract 22 from both sides. So on the left-hand side, the 22's gone. So we've got 11u now. And on the right-hand side, 11 take away 22 is -11. Then we're dividing by 11. So u equals -11 divided by 11. Same sort of idea as the last one. It's -1. Okay. And just 2 more examples to go. And then we're done. Okay, so 15y and -y. So bring baby to mummy. The -y is further down the number line, so that's what we're going to deal with first. So we'll add y to both sides. Remember, -y means -1y. Okay, so 15y, add another y is 16y. And we've got +8 equals just 7 on the right-hand side because the y is gone. Then we're going to subtract 8 from both sides to leave us 16y equals 7 minus 8 is -1. And then divide by 16 to give you y equals, now 16 doesn't go into 1, so just write it as -1/16. And that fraction won't simplify and it won't change to a mixed number. It does have an exact decimal, but we don't need to use it because it's got a few decimal places. Okay, and then the last one, we can see we've got letters on both sides, but we don't have numbers on both sides, so this one looks a little bit unusual. But still, the thing that we want to fix is the fact that we've got letters on both sides. So we're going to bring baby to mummy. So we've got 20W, 22W. So it's the 20W that's the baby. So we're going to have to move that. So take away 20W from both sides. So be very careful here now. On the left hand side, you had 20W, you've taken away 20W, so there's nothing there now. On the right hand side, 22W take away 20W is 2W, and you've still got a -3. And it's okay to have a 0 in an equation. So we carry on as normal. So we're going to add 3 to both sides to give us 3 equals 2W. And then divide by 2 because that's the number that's multiplying the W. So 3 over 2 equals W. So W equals 3 over 2 is perfectly acceptable. 1.5 is perfectly acceptable. And so is 1.5. Okay, so any of those answers would get you full marks for that. So what I want you to be very careful with is when you're solving equations, I want you to show your working. Okay, you've got to follow the steps through. Now, I will tell you that when you're solving equations, you don't get any marks for the bits in between, the bits in brackets. So, for example, this last equation that we've just solved, that line, that line, that line, do not have to be there, okay? The marks are for the equations that you get when you've done the same thing to both sides, okay? So the other one on this page, the bits that we could have left out were what we're doing to both sides. But the problem is if you leave those out, you're far more likely to make a mistake, all right? So although the bits that I've highlighted in yellow there don't get you any marks, you should still put them in because you're going to make sure that way that you're reducing your chances of making a mistake. And the easiest mistake is to actually not balance, to not do the same thing to both sides. And as you know, that doesn't work because what you say has got to be true. Okay, the left-hand side has to equal the right-hand side. So you have to have done the same to both sides. Okay, anyway, well done with that. I'll give you some practice questions and you can give me a shout if there's anything you're not sure about. See you later.